See, the kids nowadays could never understand. I mean, I remember playing Nintendo games on the GameCube in the early 2000s, just top-notch masterpieces every single year. Nowadays in 2025, you have to wait 9 years for a disappointing release like Mario Kart World. Or how about when Nintendo asked you to pay $10 for a glorified tech demo called the Welcome Tour? Yes, that's right, we gotta pay for tutorials now. Wow, good job Nintendo. I'd rather burn $10 than buy that. I mean, what happened to the company that gave us Wii Sports with our console? Man, how the mighty have fallen. I felt betrayed back when Nintendo changed Link to right-handed for Twilight Princess. They never won me back. Screw those corpo bellends. But you know what? You know who will never let you down? Taylor Swift. Oh wait, hold on a second. I mean me. Hit the like button and subscribe, baby. Do not be a mark like a Nintendo fanboy. Let's get to 90,000. And if you want to see some funny tweets, go follow me on Twitter. Now, having said all of that, we are all just living in a Palworld. Because those developers found a glitch. You can call it a money glitch. Where your game sells well if you make a good game that's fun and enjoyable. Wow, crazy concept. Whereas the giant toddler known as Nintendo somehow on a Tuesday morning just got destroyed yet again. The US Patent Office director orders a re-examination of Nintendo's patent on summoning characters to make them battle. Now, last week I explained how Japanese patent officials rejected one of Nintendo's Pokemon patent applications for being too similar to Ark, Monster Hunter, and yes, even embarrassingly so, Pokemon Go. Now, as far as that situation is concerned, that might be a big deal, because the same logic that the Japanese patent office used to reject that specific patent can easily be applied to the two granted patents central to the suit. Combine all of that with the prior art used to reject this patent, you have a solid defense in court for the Palworld developers and likely invalidate some of Nintendo's existing patents. But if you want to see more on that, go watch the last video. Now, the director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, also known as the USPTO, has ordered the rare patent re-examination after Nintendo acquired a US patent on a gameplay mechanic used in other games. I mean, it's just a genuine shame that Nintendo chooses to drag its reputation through the instead of just doing their job. They have fallen so far from grace, it's outrageous. Anyway, in September, Nintendo was granted a US patent which covers the action of summoning, and whoever granted that should be fired immediately, summoning another character and making them battle on the player's behalf. The most obvious example of this patent in action is a Pokemon game where the player can summon Pokemon and use them to battle other Pokemon on their behalf. Now, imagine if From Software started suing everybody who made Souls-like games, or any other game that has dodge rolls or parrying mechanics on it. We'd all call that absurd. Or how about if Grand Theft Auto starts suing other companies for using the wanted level? But for Nintendo, it just rolls off the back anyway. However, as reported by Games Fray, the USPTO director John A. Squires has personally ordered a re-examination of the patent, citing previous patents which might make it invalid. Oh, that is just music to my ears. Because maybe now it will give us some long overdue oversight on how patents are distributed. Because game mechanics becoming monopolized is not a good sign, because one day, then we'll start having patents on everything, like clicking a setting to change the volume. Or how about pressing the button to start the game, like pressing any key to start it? I mean, that's where we're heading. Now look, having said all of that, I'm gonna take a moment to really give Nintendo their props. You know what Nintendo is really good at? They are good at what's called weaponized nostalgia. They're like the Jedi Knights of that, like the masters of it. Because the reality is, regardless of whether you or me don't like the way they treat their consumers or how they treat other developers, by continuously attempting to kneecap and stifle their competition, none of that actually matters, because I tell you what, it's actually worth it for Nintendo, because now they can milk their fans with any price tag and behave in any way they want and still have the zealots playing defense for them like their life depends on it. Because Nintendo knows their simps, and their simps will come out in droves, 1 million at a time, and buy their new schlop product. Pokemon ZA is the perfect example, you know, because that thing was one of the most pathetic examples of a video game I've ever seen. Just low effort all round. And you know what? You had people, even content creators, defend how terrible it looked. We as a gaming community are cooked, and you know what? That game will probably sell millions of copies. And you know what? Palworld is a glimpse into what Pokemon could be if they didn't just stick to their stupid yearly recycled low-budget handheld nonsense. Anyway, look, I'm going off on a tangent. Specifically, Squires has focused on the patent's claim to having a sub-character fight alongside you with the option to make them fight either automatically or via manual control. You know what's funny? We've been capturing animals for thousands of years, and Nintendo basically just decided to say they're the ones who invented that. And what's even funnier is within the whole gaming industry, they didn't even invent the Monster Hunter genre. I'm pretty sure that was Atlas with Megami Tensei. But you know what? With Nintendo, you know, they could probably sue a paleontology museum if they even get a whiff of a statue that vaguely resembles Charizard. Wait, you don't think that will happen? That absolutely will happen. You know, let me just take it to another direction. Imagine someone patenting all ingredients and cooking techniques until you can't cook anything anymore. That's basically where we're heading. There's basically zero credence to what any of the arguments Nintendo is trying to employ here. Anyway, in his order, John Squires said he determined that substantial new questions of patentability has arisen based on the publications of two previous patents named Yabe and Tora. The Yabe patent was granted in 2002 to Konami and refers to a sub-character fighting alongside the player either automatically or manually, while the Tora was granted in 2020 to Nintendo itself and also refers to a sub-character who battles alongside the player. Squires says that the patent examiner's reasoning for allowing Nintendo's 2025 patent cites the failure of prior art of record, meaning there was no previous related patent to teach a player can be allowed to perform two types of battles. That is a battle by the first mode in which the player performs an operation input and a battle by the simpler second mode. However, because each of Yabe and Tora teaches a player being allowed to perform a battle in manual mode in a simpler automatic mode, John Squires says a reasonable examiner would consider each of Yabe and Tora to be important in deciding whether the claims are patentable, adding that each raises a substantial new question on patentability. Games Frey claims that it's very rare for a USPTO director to personally take the initiative to order a patent re-examination without another company getting involved. The site claims the last time this happened was in 2012. Now, going back to one of Nintendo's other patents where they claimed that pointing and aiming a creature is apparently theirs, which by the way is so broad. You know, pointing and aiming an item for launch is so broad that it basically applies to every hunter-like class in RPG games, which is completely moronic. Now, Nintendo is doing this just to waste money. I mean, we all know what this is, ladies and gents. It's a classic mega corpo bully tactic. They know they're wrong, we know they're wrong, but it, let's just sue them anyway. Let's do every single process possible to drag out legal issues as long as possible, file every single appeal because it will give them as much grief as possible. Meanwhile, hoping that the smaller company simply runs out of money to pay lawyers and has to go bankrupt. That is where we are as a society, and on that bombshell, let me know what you think in the comments as always. Manix out.